So thank you everybody for jumping into the September online meetup. We're going to do a round of introductions and keep it super casual with just general Q&A and just general conversation. We don't have a real structured agenda here. We just want to talk about whatever people are interested in. So for everyone's information, let's do a round of introductions. Let's do your name, where you're located, talk about your real estate investing experience, and talk about a project that you have going on right now. So I'll get started. I'm Willie Marquez. I've been investing for the past 8 years now. I own about 11, 12 units, actually, 5 here in California, 7 at Indianapolis. So I invest out of state. I mostly focus on buy and hold rentals. And as something exciting, something that I'm currently working on, just listed my short-term rental on Airbnb as well as Furnish Finder for specifically trying to find traveling nurses. And we actually just locked down the first renter on Airbnb. So pretty excited about getting into the Airbnb management side. We'll go around in introductions. We'll go Gerald and then Madhu. So Gerald, if you don't mind going next.
Yes, sir. What's going on, everybody? My name is Gerald. I'm here in the Stockton area. We pretty much invest in the Stanislaus, San Joaquin County. Looking to further out my markets out to like the Alameda County. I've done a couple of deals. We don't own any property right now, but I've done some wholesale deals virtually in like the North Carolina, East Tennessee area. That's not really my main kind of like focus on what I want to do in the long term. It's just something for me to kind of build the capital and looking to do more deals in my primary area, which is in Stockton. So there it is.
Thank you, Gerald. Let's go to Madhu.
Hey everyone, this is Madhu. I'm joining after a long time. Thanks, Willie. So yeah, I am into mostly long-term rentals and buy and hold. I am mostly in East Bay and California side. What I'm trying to understand and get into is the short-term rentals, like Airbnb or like what you said, right? Monthly rentals or some kind of furnished rentals. That's what I wanted to understand and learn first. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Madhu.
Yeah.
We have an iPhone 2, and I see your camera's on. I don't have your name here on Zoom, but if you want to come off of mute and introduce yourself, yeah, go for it.
I believe that's probably me. Can you hear me? Hi, how you guys doing? Yeah, my name is Ernest. I just saw your meetup today. Just scrolling through the internet, I thought I'd join. I'm in the Manteca area. I own a couple of rentals out of state in Memphis, Tennessee, Colorado, Aurora, Colorado. I just recently invested in a duplex in Cleveland, Ohio. And then I also own a duplex out here in Sacramento, California. So I'm just curious, to pick you guys' brains because trying to figure out what's my next step. I'm kind of winging it around here. Don't really have a plan, but just I'm curious about investing more and just building some long-term wealth for me and my family.
I feel like that's 90% of real estate investors. They don't have a plan, but they just take it one step at a time, and it ends up working out. So, congrats on your portfolio. It sounds impressive.
Thank you. At first, I really wasn't knowing what I was doing. My first property I bought, wasn't really realizing it. And then at the same time, when I bought my Sacramento property, I got myself into a bad loan, not knowing what I was doing as well. So I've been learning a lot the last couple of years and trying to, right the ship.
If anybody is trial and error learning, it's myself as well. We can definitely dive into that one later. But all right, cool. Thanks, Ernest. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I saw your RSVP just a few minutes ago, so thanks for coming on such short notice here.
Yeah, no problem.
not least is Marcus Williams. Marcus, if you want to come off of mute and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Hi, my name is Marcus Williams. I'm out of the Oakley, California area. I'm a partial owner of a 6-unit building in San Francisco. I'm looking to purchase property in the Stockton and Sacramento area here in California. I'm also looking for a 6 to 20 unit property in the Houston or Columbus, Ohio markets. So that's a little bit about me.
Cool, Marcus, thank you for joining. I think this is your first.
It is, yes.
All right, cool. Thanks everybody for the quick intros. You know, like I said, we're gonna keep it super casual. Any kind of questions, anything you want to talk about, come off mute. Feel free to ask your questions or chip into the answer to a question. You know, I'm happy to share my experience, my expertise, and I'm hoping all of you can as well. But if any of you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, feel free to come off of mute. I know at registration, several of you have asked questions about kind of what is the market doing right now. I don't think we all have the answer to that, but we can definitely give our 2 cents. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to come off of mute and let's chat.
Yeah, so I wanna dive into some of the short-term rental game that you have, man. My uncle we have a property in Stockton, and we're looking to see if we can do like some sort of conversion, maybe add on some another unit onto the property. And we're looking into doing like the whole traveling nurses thing. He said that he was kind of getting involved with somebody that was getting into insurance companies that were helping families being displaced during like fires or whatever like that. But what's your experience with that, and how far have you gone into, or how successful are you in that space?
Yeah, I'm happy to share my experience with this. If anybody has any other experience that they want to share, feel free to come off of mute and share your 2 cents. But you know, honestly, Gerald, this is my first foray into Airbnb. I just listed it probably 3 days ago and secured my first renter 2 days ago. So pretty happy with the response rate immediately. So first off, I'm born and raised Stockton. I know the Stockton environment, and Gerald, I know you're born and raised Stockton and you know it as well. But one of the things that I think people often overlook about Stockton is, one, we have a lot of hospitals in this area. San Joaquin County, Dameron, St. Joseph, Sutter Gold. We have quite a few hospitals here. And if any of you have been keeping a pulse on the staffing situation during COVID and even kind of after COVID, it's hard to find nurses. And so a lot of these hospitals here in the county actually focus on a lot of people who are low income, people of color, and it's not really the top destination for nurses. So as a result, they ask, you know, the city, the county, the state to help contribute by bringing nurses here. And so as a result, you're going to get a lot of influx of traveling nurses who are coming here because this area is willing to pay top dollar for traveling nurses because there's such a shortage. How do I know this? My wife is a nurse at San Joaquin County as an ICU nurse, and I think from her department of about 20 people, 10 people are full-time and 10 people are traveling nurses who come in and out constantly. So it's really hard for these hospitals to retain talent and recruit talent. So they refer to traveling nurses who are making, I don't know, close to 150 to 200 per hour. So they're making significant amount of money. In addition to that, one of the things that's unique about Stockton is also University of the Pacific. You're actually going to get a lot of visiting professors, visiting instructors, a lot of family who are coming here for sports teams and sports events or conferences. And they're going to be looking for places to stay for, I don't know, 3 to 7 days, even more than that. and they're looking for a place for their entire family. And so there's actually a lot of demand for the short-term, mid-term rental space. And a lot of people try to find their furnished place largely from Airbnb, from this website called Furnish Finder. You know, so to give you more context about my own personal experience, I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom that I listed on Airbnb, located really close to San Joaquin General Hospital. And I listed it for, I think, like 110 per night. And that's kind of the market rate right now in that area. And it's pretty low if you think about it. I was talking to my wife about it. She said, if these are 3 traveling nurses sharing one house and splitting the 3 bedrooms, they're paying $30 a night. That's crazy cheap for a traveling nurse who's probably used to paying 100 to 120 a night for a 1-bed hotel room. So if you were to put that into context, you could potentially be making 300 to 400 per night for a 3-bedroom house. So the cash flow still works there, and there is demand for it. I was pretty surprised to list my Airbnb rental 3 days ago and secure a renter to a day after. And I would say it's something that's overlooked. It's something that's actually going to require a lot of time and effort. Like, we're spending a lot of time right now cleaning and furnishing it and making sure it looks good. But if there's any place in California where you're going to have to spend on furnishing, Stockton is definitely the place. Like, we found probably 90% of our furnishings on OfferUp, on BidRL, on a bunch of like discount places where now we've completely furnished the place for less than like $500, just because there's so many ways to get a mattress for cheap, a couch for cheap, a TV for cheap, because we're surrounded by Amazon warehouses, we're surrounded by Target, we're surrounded by Walmart, who currently they're having a hard time selling their inventory. So we've gotten a bunch of stuff for like probably 75% off of retail. And, you know, somebody who's traveling from Utah or Colorado to be a traveling nurse here in California, like they're willing to pay quite a bit to have their own place. So it's still very early in my own short-term rental career, but so far it's worked out quite well. The cash flow numbers still work. I know interest rates are high and house prices are high as well, but there's still significant demand for this. I think you just have to try to target specific people who are willing to pay for this type of accommodation. That's my 2 cents on it. If anybody else has any other input, or if anybody else wants to share their questions, feel free to chime in.
I got a question. I was curious to know what the city rules and regulations are on Airbnbs. Do you know them?
So I just started my listing probably 3 days ago, and you know, I had no problem just going on Airbnb, uploading my photos, writing description, and then making the listing active. Like, it's pretty surprising how easy it was to make a listing active and secure tenants. I used to own a condo in Los Angeles, and Airbnb wouldn't let me create a listing in Los Angeles because they wouldn't allow new Airbnb rentals. So, you know, in this situation, honestly, it's going to be like ask forgiveness, not permission. So I'm gonna keep rolling with it until I hear otherwise. But technically, what I have heard is I think you need a business license to run it. But if Airbnb is not stopping me from listing my rental and getting renters, then I'm just gonna go with it until I hear otherwise. One thing I have in the back of my mind though is if my neighbors start complaining that there's too many people coming in and out, I think that's where the issue is probably going to arise. But I know all of the neighbors in this house that I owned, and I'm pretty good friends with all of them. So I don't feel like that's something that's going to come up. So I don't know all the rules and regulations, but in this situation, I'm definitely going to ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
So when looking for your renters, do you have your wife talk to these traveling nurses, and they kind of like, is that kind of a way to like market the rental?
Yeah, so I think that's going to be what I do eventually. I haven't done that yet. What I was thinking of doing, there are a few ways to market it, right? I listed my property on Airbnb. I listed my property on furnishfinder.com, and that's pretty much it so far. And I've actually been getting a lot of inquiries and people interested in it just from those two avenues alone. The next step for me is if I do have a problem with vacancy, I'm going to reach out to the hospitals themselves who help place who may be involved with traveling nurses. That's one avenue. And then the second avenue is going to be talking to these traveling nurse agencies. Traveling nurses get their assignments through working through agencies, just like a short-term staffing recruiting company. So if you can build a relationship with that agency and say, hey, if you have any traveling nurses who come to Stockton, here's my information. And I think that's where I'm going to go to fill the vacancies going forward. But right now, Airbnb and Furnish Finder are actually bringing a lot of traffic to my listing already. And then the next step for me, honestly, is probably going to be to really market and get the information of my tenants so that they book to me directly rather than on Airbnb or on Furnish Finder. So I'm just going to say, hey, if you come back, I'll give you a 10% discount. Just don't book on Airbnb, just handle it with me personally. That's probably going to be the way I kind of handle that. On my file as possible. So right now I'm offering the price really low, and then ultimately I'll scale up the price as I get more reviews and ratings on my profile.
Sounds good, Willie. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have any kind of questions, comments, anything you want to talk about? I think we have a pretty wide, diverse wealth of knowledge on the call, so feel free to come off of mute and ask any questions you have.
Had anybody been involved with any ADU developments?
Personally, for me, I have not. I have two properties that are about 10 to 1,500 square feet on an 8,000 square foot lot. And those are definitely prime candidates to add the ADUs. I've been reading into it a little bit, and I've seen that they do pretty much allow the permits for ADUs if you are owner occupying the house that the property is in. I don't know how easy it is to get it permitted if it is an investment property. That's probably the biggest question for me. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not the most experienced there.
Yeah, no worries. That'd be a cool idea because so we have our in-house construction company, and my dad, he operates it completely, and so he's starting to slow down because mainly all of his projects are in Fremont, and so I'm thinking of ways where we can kind of commercialize the company somehow in Stockton. I know one of the big things is that not a lot of people they want to get into investing in real estate, but everybody's being priced out into like duplexes and triplexes. So I'm thinking, well, would it be a good idea if homeowners that want to get into investing, but they are, it's just them and their husband or them and their wives that live in the house, and they want to utilize more of their space and convert it into like an ADU, or I don't know if this is a real term. My dad calls it a GDU, which is pretty much like the garage being turned into a dwelling unit, and commercializing in that sense. Just trying to be creative and seeing how we'd be able to keep our construction crew busy, and wanting to help others that are trying to get into real estate investing but get priced out of the market.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who do, and you mentioned Fremont as an example. I know a lot of people are interested in it in the Bay Area just because the Airbnb rates are just so high compared to something in Stockton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of curious how many people are even interested in that, just given the like interest rates and where they're at right now. And just people kind of like saving money and trying to be very frugal with their money right now. But I think it can be an opportunity. I'm just, when I think of Stockton, just off the top of my head, I do think that garage real estate is kind of prime real estate. Like a lot of, like, Stockton is a place where you drive around everywhere. And so getting rid of a garage or getting rid of a garage space might be something that potential sellers of a property may not be interested in, just because it might bring down the property value. And especially with Stockton and so many catalytic converters being taken here, I think garage space is kind of a premium. So I think that might be something that might be going against people converting it into a garage.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't want to be like a downer, but that's just like my initial reaction.
No, I mean, that's exactly why I'm here. I want to ask these questions and see what everybody's thoughts are,
Yeah, personally for me, I have a few properties with garages. I've thought about conversions to add more bedrooms, but I do think, like I just talked about with keeping their car secure, and then you think about people who want to buy a car, like an electric vehicle, and be able to charge their electric vehicle in their garage. That's going to be a big thing as well. So I think there are a lot of reasons for people to keep a garage space, but I think you're right. People do want more space in a house. I think if you can be flexible with the square footage the way it currently is, and try to move, like break down walls or move walls to add another bedroom, that might be like a better opportunity. But that's my 2 cents. Ernest, I saw you come off of mute for a sec. Did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Gerald a question. Seeing his family's in construction, I want to know if they do any like new builds from ground up.
Yeah. My father, again, he operates the company, so he's primarily based out in Fremont. He doesn't do so much like the marketing when it comes to like finding new clients. So he's all referral based. So his architect and his designer usually shoot him the work. So it's typically new builds, if not additional or just additions. So when people want to add on square footage into their added onto their house, he's never came across anything where he's had an investor give him a call to, hey, we've found a lot, we'd like to build on this and get everything straight away, from the ground up. It's usually when people want to add on to their existing lot, and they're typically homeowners. I don't think he's dealt with like an investor before having to build on an entirely new lot.
Yeah, I understand that part. I was just curious because just like me and my family, my older brother, we're looking into also buying some land and then just building on it, and what opportunities that might bring. We thought about, close to maybe Lake Comanche, Lake Hogan, just buying some land up there and kind of doing like the Airbnb thing where you buy the land and make multiple units on one land, and build them up, and then make it kind of like a small resort in the sense people can come stay close to a lake or something like that. I don't know if you guys are interested in you know, or do any those type of builds?
I mean, we definitely be into it. My father doesn't have the stomach to want to scale that to that point where he wants to build bigger.
Hmm.
I've definitely talked to him a couple times where it's like, hey, you know, we could do more with it. I mean, we don't have to be a multi-million-dollar company, obviously, but we can build those necessary connections to want to subcontract some of the things that we don't want to do. Um, it's just a matter of the know-how and getting the right resources. The Ione area, is that what you're talking about? Like Valley Springs?
Yeah, Valley Springs area. Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely a market I'd like to get into. I could see that though. I could see
Yeah,
that like one. Mhm.
we always talked about it because, you know, we got the dirt bikes, just buying land and just riding your dirt bikes. It's like, well, now let's just make it more profitable, you know, not just for fun, you know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but you know, I'm also curious in like flips and as well. I've seen like properties because I just recently moved to Manteca from the Bay Area, and I've seen some old homes and things in the area where it's like, you know, hey, might want to see who actually owns this. Like, is there a possibility to grab it and, you know, put some money into it and make it nice and see if we can go ahead and sell it back on the market. So I don't know if you guys are into that as well.
Um, so I deal with more of acquisitions. So when you do come across like an older home and you're curious to see like who the seller is, um, I typically go and, you know, do some research and see who owns it, and I reach out to them.
Oh, really?
That's one,
Okay.
yeah, that's one thing that I get into. Our model that we love to get into is, okay, if I can handle acquisitions and find the properties and find the sellers, uh, if we take them on ourselves, we'd be able to have our in-house construction crew like do the work, whether we want to buy it or flip it. Um, I haven't gone so much into the construction side just because I don't like the idea or fathom the idea of being a construction manager.
Hmm.
But just having to be able to manage the projects is something that I can stomach. But I don't really have much. I don't have any experience with flips as of
Okay.
now. So yeah, but acquisitions, I do get into like lead generation. So we do a bunch of cold calling. I delved into like texting, but it's just so much as far as like having to deal with, you know, the industry. What is that called? The regulations and all that stuff. It's just so much, so many moving parts to dive into. I'd rather just get straight on the phone and just call people and, you know, see if they're interested. So Ernest, if you ever come across anything in Manteca, you know, I'd be able to kind of help you, you know, see who could be the potential owner of that property, and you can probably, you know, give you the number if you'd like to talk to the seller or see how, you know, acquiring goes as far as, you know, from direct to seller marketing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been very curious about how to kind of reach out to potential, you know, sellers just in general. You know, just trying to read up on it because it's something I would like to get into out here in the area, you know, down the road. Kind of putting a foothold down here, so we might as well, you know, see what this area has to offer as a real estate. I know prices are high, but you know, that's another thing. I'm just asked a general question to all you guys, like with financing. Um, has anybody having creative ways of financing in this type of market living in California?
That's a good question. You know, personally, right now, I'm not really acquiring new deals. I'm kind of just working on making my current portfolio perform even better. In terms of loans, you know, I think across the board, we're still seeing high interest rates no matter where you get your loans from. I think I've seen a lot of influx of people considering adjustable rate mortgages now, just to see where interest rates are 5, 10 years down the line. But I think I've also heard of a lot of people going towards like Midwest to try to just find properties pay it in cash rather than getting a loan on it. Yeah, I don't, unfortunately, I'm not really acquiring new loans right now, so I don't have a pulse on financing right now. But I do know like the people who have been lending are still lending. It's just expensive. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
As far as acquiring properties creatively, I haven't, I don't get into that yet, like subject to or seller finance. That's something that I'd love to have in the toolbox. That's I mean, it's awesome, right? I mean, you probably heard it all over the internet that like if you were to get into that and you offer those kind of creative deals where all it is just learning how to structure a deal and finding out the root problem or finding out solutions for these people and how they can be able to like win off of selling their property to you is definitely a key thing in this sort of market. But what we're doing is because we're getting into like fixing flips and like wanting to do ADUs and whatnot, I only offer like we offer cash only, and so that's just something that for me, if it's something that I'm focusing on, it's just cash offers. It's one dimensional, though. It's something that if I can get into creative finance, some valuable to add it onto my tool belt. But for now, it's just no sort of nothing that I can share as far as creative financing.
Yeah, the only way I could see, well, there's creative. I'm trying to think. I'm curious if a lot of people who have owned their home and have it paid off would be more interested in seller financing now than ever, just because they're not getting the top dollar selling price that they would have otherwise, maybe like 6 months ago. So I am curious if people who have owned their home for several decades would be more interested in seller financing now. And if any of you have any deals like that, I know a few people who have set up seller financing, so they can definitely help you out. Outside of that, I feel like there's just I am also, I guess the other thing I'm thinking about is just lines of credit, especially for those of you who have portfolios already. I'm sure if you did not buy in the last 2 years, you probably have a bunch of equity in it. So I think now would be the best time more than ever to start checking in on lines of credit for the different properties you own, so that when we do see prices take a significant drop, you're ready to acquire immediately. So that would be something that is something that I'm currently doing. I bought most of my properties between 2015 and 2018. So now I'm reaching out to a credit union to see what's the highest line of credit you can give me, so that I can get, somewhere close to, I don't know, $250,000 to $500,000 in line of credit in total, so that, I can jump on a house once I see a good deal. So that would be another opportunity.
Yeah, I've looked into basically some lines of credit. I actually did a HELOC on one of my properties earlier this year, just to kind of renovate it, and then do a cash out refinance, because it was a condo I bought in 2015, so it worked out good. So I'm looking to do probably some of the same thing. It just, I was curious to know if anybody had like maybe a certain loan that they got, or a program that's out there, or if anybody talks to hard lenders, use hard money, because I've always been curious about hard money as well.
Yeah, I do have I use hard money. I use hard money now, actually, for some projects that are construction projects that are going to take a little bit of work. Their rates have gone up, obviously, with just the way the environment is. So, if you need a referral for hard money, happy to send it over, Ernest. But I think they're still actively lending. There is one company that a friend of mine, Jason James, uses. If any of you have heard of it, it's called CoreVest. They are a pretty big time lender, and they have a lot of unique real estate investing or financing vehicles. I'm going to send over that information in email right now so that all of you have it. I don't have your email, Ernest. Can you maybe send it in the chat to me directly, and then I will send over this link. And then in the meantime, while I get this ready, Marcus, I saw you come off of mute for a little bit. Is there something you wanted to add?
Well, not so much I want to ask. I was going to suggest HELOC as well. So, yeah, I've been talking to some other investors about different ways to do creative financing or fund, some of these deals here in the future. So that's what I would say. There's a couple ways, owner carrying finance or yeah. So I mean, we just have to look for more creative ways of financing these properties. Lines of credit, stuff like that. So that's pretty much all I had to add.
Yeah, thanks, Marcus. Yeah, I think the line of credit is definitely interesting. The owner financing is interesting. One thing also I would recommend, if any of you don't have it, is create your own business bank account so that you can start building a business line of credit. If you own multiple rentals, have an LLC, create a bank account in the name of your LLC, and then start showing the income from your rentals to your LLC. For example, I put together an LLC for my properties here in Stockton, and I think after 6 months to 1 year of showing the records of income that I was getting, I was able to get about 40,000 in business line of credit. So definitely recommend that if you haven't already started that. What I like to do with it is, more specifically, the account I created was Cabbage. I'll put the link in here. So the link is cabbage.com. I created it through my American Express account. And I think what I like to do is have that 30, 40,000 available. When I see a property I like, I'll take all of that money from that line of credit, acquire the property, and then wait for like my next W-2 paycheck or wait for rental income to come in the next month and pay off the entire line of credit before the first interest is due, so that I don't actually pay any interest on taking out those funds. So we definitely recommend that. Creating, if you already have rentals and if you already have track record and history, then it's just an additional tens of thousands of dollars of line of credit that could be super flexible for you. So definitely check out Cabbage. And then I sent over the email with CoreVest and the different financing options they provide. So take a look at that. The one I find super interesting with CoreVest is the line of credit, where they'll give, one of my buddies, he got $1 million in line of credit specifically through CoreVest. So if you're able to keep up with their requirements based on that email, definitely I'd recommend that. He's had a good experience with that. So definitely check that one out.
Yeah, thanks for all that information.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Marcus, Cabbage is super quick and easy. And yeah, Ernest, I like, if you ever come to one of our in-person meetings, you'll probably meet Jason. He scaled up from like 2 units in 1 year to like 30 units in the next year just by getting like this $1 million line of credit. So definitely would recommend that if you are able to meet all the requirements. Cool. We have about 7 minutes here. Just wanted to see if anybody else had any questions or anything they want to talk about. Like I said, we're totally open sharing information. Hopefully this is helpful so far.
In the near future, have you thought about like I mean, I know in the in-person meetings, you guys, we pretty much are gathering like a whole bunch of like investors that want to get into more like, you know, wanting to acquire. Um, do we come across a lot of investors that are totally new to this that have like are ready to liquidate or not liquidate, ready to purchase as far as like wanting to get into like even the virtual markets like Ohio and Indianapolis and all that?
Yeah, I would say so. I think a lot of those people are going to be. We get a lot of people who drive all the way from like Dublin, Pleasanton,
Oh
Livermore.
wow.
Yeah, we've got quite a few of those people who come on the in-person meetings because they also make it part of their. They also make it part of their opportunity to drive around the neighborhoods to get to know the different neighborhoods in Stockton. So we do get a lot of Bay Area investors. More specifically, what I have seen is a lot of people who come to our in-person are looking for that 4 to 12 unit apartment complex. And they're ready to pounce. They have the money ready to go. In terms of out of state, you know, I think there's still a little bit of hesitancy on going out of state just because, you know, it's not something physical, something they can drive to.
Yeah.
It is something that we talk about quite often, but I think people are less willing to jump on that at our in-person meetings.
I got you.
Cool. And then Ernest, I saw you come off of mute for a second. Did you want to pitch in something?
Yeah, I was just a general question. As in, I kind of forgot what I was gonna say, but for anybody else, you or any of the others, because I'm currently looking for a CPA. I was just curious if anybody knew any good CPAs in the area that, you know, actually deal with people who do investing in real estate, not just business in a sense.
Anybody have any recommendations, referrals?
Not local.
Got one.
I got one earlier in the week, but they were, I don't even know where they're located. I know they're out of state though, so they aren't local.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing, Marcus. My own CPA is actually out of state as well. He's pretty good when it regards to real estate investing. He knows all the opportunities to take deductions and credits and all that. He's based in Connecticut, but I've been working with him for probably 8 years now, and he's been pretty solid. I'm happy to send you his information. Marcus, you're welcome to also, if you have your referral, feel free to put it in the chat. Then Maddie, who just joined, also put in information in the chat. Gordon Lindstrom out of Stockton. So that might be an opportunity there for you.
Thanks. I appreciate it, guys.
Maddie, you saw you come off mute. Anything else you wanted to add there?
Yes, I just wanted to say hello, everyone. I just wanted to say that I used him for 2 years and he's been good for us for our real estate needs thus far.
And he's based here in Stockton?
Yes.
Gotcha. Sweet.
Yeah, just look him up, Gordon from CPA Stockton. He'll come up.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the chat. Someone else I've heard about is Lenz, Susan Lenz, Lenz. That might be another opportunity, but there's a few referrals there for you, Ernest. Feel free to check out Gordon Lindstrom as well as Christina Leal. Cool. All right, we're coming up in the last few minutes here, and I know it's a big day because it's the start of the NFL season, so I don't want to hold everybody up too much here, but wanted to leave it open for one last question for the group. Anybody have anything they want to chat about?
I just wanted to say, I know that you guys kind of talked about wholesaling. Will there be a recording for this one?
Yeah, absolutely, Maddie. We are going to post it as soon as this call is over. And then Maddie, Gerald is probably the most experienced here. He's a wholesaler as well, so he could probably be a good contact for you. Gerald, feel free if you want to have a chat with Maddie, you can kind of direct message your contact information over there
Yeah.
in the Zoom.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, definitely.
I'll go ahead and put my phone number on the messages. Just feel free to text me or call me.
Okay, Gerald, thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you as well. Have you done any virtual wholesaling, or are you just in this
Yes.
area?
Yeah, no, I do virtual over in like the North Carolina, Tennessee. We're currently campaigning, we're marketing out to like Milwaukee, but more so like a pilot run right now. I'm all over the place, but it's just, I want to try different markets, but it looks like my main is North Carolina and the surrounding Charlotte area, and Tennessee surrounding the Knoxville area. Shoot me a text. I'll go ahead and put my phone number down and we could talk.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All righty. You're
Thank
welcome.
Thanks, Maddie, for joining in the last few minutes. Glad you could make it for a bit. Yes, we're going to be posting the recording shortly. We are at 5 o'clock. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Before we sign off, I do want to let everybody know we have our next in-person meetup at the Panera in Stockton at 9 a.m. on September 24, Saturday, September 24. Hopefully all of you can make it. We'd love to put a face to the name. We have really great discussions. We have about like 8 to 10 people come out to each of those, so it would be great to grab coffee and chat. So that is Saturday, September 24 at 9 a.m. at Panera in Stockton. Otherwise, thank you all for joining. I'll send out the link to the video shortly, but it was great to chat, and hopefully everybody has a good day and weekend.
Thank you, Willie. Appreciate it, man.
Of course. See you guys.
Sir. Have a good one. Bye.